Good afternoon, my good friends. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to my live stream. Welcome to my channel. I'm Andre Lefevre, independent citizen journalist. My website is wildnews.us. And I love to mouth off on things political, things cultural, things interesting. I have a full live stream for us today. We're going to talk about chaos in DC swamp. President Donald Trump is at his best in the chaotic environments. Like all creative entrepreneurs, Trump can navigate chaos and make order out of it. The DC swamp can only exist with this set of rigid rules and traditions. The Rod Rosenstein scandal has created such a chaos for President Trump. It has shown that the swamp creatures are fighting among themselves and diminishing their own power. In the swamp, the perception of power is power. The less power the swamp creatures have, the more power the President Trump gains. He is now in a great position. He really does not have to do anything, not even fire Rosenstein. All he has to do is watch the deep staters eat their own. Two things that are happening that are in chaos right now. One, as you probably remember, you've probably seen, Rod Rosenstein decided, shouldn't say he decided, the New York Times decided to out Rod Rosenstein for saying that he wants to coup d'etat the president. I don't know how else to put it. He even volunteered at one time to wear a wire to somehow prove that President Trump is insane and use the 25th Amendment. He denies it, but we're gonna watch some clips on that. Number two, we also have absolutely wonderful chaotic environment with the Judge Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation. A Democrat operative, Christine Blasey Ford, have come out and lied on him. Basically lied on him, and it's a great Democrat operation to besmirch a great judge. And right now the whole thing in chaos. We don't even know whether there will be hearing on Monday. The whole town is in chaos, and the only person who is not touched by it, the only person who gained power from it, the only person who looks like an adult in it, is President Trump. We're going to do a couple of things today. I'm going to play you a couple of clips, a reaction. There is a great interview, interview was done with Lee Smith of Real Clear Politics. It was done on Laura Ingraham's show. He really breaks down exactly what happened with Rod Rosenstein. Mr. Tucker had that very good explanation on why it is very important for the vote confirming Judge Kavanaugh happen before Thursday next week, or it may not happen at all. After that, we're going to call Senator Grassley's office, Senator Chuck Grassley's office of Iowa, who is a Republican chairman of the Judiciary Committee, who is in charge of the proceedings of the committee. First, Judge Kavanaugh needs to be voted out of committee, and then the full Senate can vote on him. We're going to call his office, and if there's no one to answer, there probably isn't. We're going to leave a message encouraging him to handle this situation. But remember, those are all swamp creatures. They don't work very well in chaos. President Trump does. Okay. Let's go to the first clip that I have for us. And this one is Laura Ingraham's show yesterday. She interviewed Lee Smith of Real Clear Politics, Real Clear Investigations. I have followed this man. He seems to navigate the swamp very well. He's like a guide in the swamp of the Washington, D.C. So let's bring him up.
Top story, an absolute jaw-dropper late this afternoon, a report from the New York Times. It lays out that in the spring of 2017, Deputy AG Rod Rosenstein suggested secretly recording President Trump and discussed invoking the 25th Amendment to throw the president out of office. Now, Rosenstein, as you'd expect, is forcefully denying that this ever happened. Separately, a Fox News source said to be in the same room as this conversation is claiming that Rosenstein's comments were just sarcastic. They weren't serious. Does anyone believe that tonight? Washington Post is also reporting that. But let's take a trip, shall we, down Rosenstein memory lane. Now, this is the same guy who responded like this to demands from Congress to produce documents in that Russia probe.
The Department of Justice is not going to be extorted. We're going to do what's required by the rule of law.
Oh, so congressional oversight and demands for accountability and transparency are extortion? That somehow runs counter to the rule of law? Got it, Rod. Well, his apparent contempt for oversight and lawmakers doesn't stop there. Here he is in front of the House Judiciary Committee just a few months ago.
I am the Deputy Attorney General of the United States. Okay? I'm not the person doing the redacting. I'm responsible for responding to your concerns as I have.
Did you read the FISA application before you signed it?
I'm not going to comment about any FISA application.
So you won't say to this committee whether or not you even read the document you signed that authorized spying on people associated with the Trump campaign?
Well,
I love the trailing off there. It's perfect for a Friday night. And let's not forget that Rosenstein even threatened to subpoena emails, phone records, and other documents from lawmakers and staff on the House Intel Committee, and he did that earlier this year. Let's go right to you, Lee. You have been covering Rod Rosenstein for, I guess a year and a half now, since he initially got this job as Deputy Attorney General. Tonight, I just want to play for you. This is a short montage of a variety of pundits claiming, per the Washington Post, that this conversation about wearing a wire, getting other people to wear a wire, this is all just a joke. Let's watch.
If the words were said, it seems more likely they were said in some sort of sarcastic or exasperated way, rather than as a serious plan to actually wire up and go in and do this.
This does not give any grounds, I really mean this, any grounds at all in terms of any action of Rosenstein that justifies firing him.
It makes sense to me that maybe he could have made a crack about this.
Lay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to see the Rosenstein story, the story about Rosenstein in the Times and in the Post. These are both part of the declassification issue. They need to be seen in the context of a week's
How so? Explain that.
Okay, we've seen since Monday when the president said he was going to declassify documents. Over the last week, the New York Times, ABC News, a number of publications have had stories trying to block the declassification. They've been sourced to former and current U.S. officials. I see this as part of the same thing. The Times stories apparently sourced to Andy McCabe.
He says he didn't talk. He said his people are saying they didn't talk to the Times on that.
The lawyer's statement looks to me like a non-denial denial on Twitter. I think what it looks like is that McCabe or someone close to McCabe is threatening Rosenstein, saying, hey, I've got a lot of dirty stuff on you as well. If these things aren't declassified, you're going down with me. Unbeknownst to Andrew McCabe, it appears, according to my sources, that sometime between last night and this morning, Rod Rosenstein went in and talked to President Trump and convinced him to hold off on declassifying the documents. Kick them instead over to the Inspector General.
What is that going to do? The Inspector General, how does that help the president?
Exactly. It does not help the president. The purpose was to delay. But it was Rosenstein, apparently, who convinced Trump to do it. Unbeknownst to McCabe, the wrathful McCabe had no idea. Presumably, the Times story was in the works for several days. The story drops a couple of hours after Trump tweets that the documents are.
Okay. So what a beautiful, chaotic environment. You know, obviously the swamp creatures are eating thereon. All right, let's move on to the next salacious situation that creates chaos in Washington D.C. This is Tucker Carlson. Now, mind you, both Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham are part of the ruling class, if you will. They both went to the Ivy League universities. They are on first name basis with most of the powerful people in the swamp. I wouldn't consider them swamp creatures themselves, but they're part of the ruling class. The swamp creatures, even though dislike them and disagree with them, consider them part of their fraternity or sorority, in case of Laura Ingraham, if you will. So their insight is very important to us because most of us, the middle class men and women, we have very difficult time understanding what's going on psychologically, if you will. It's tough for us to put ourselves into their place. And I am going to touch on the reason why before end of this live stream, in my opinion. So let's watch Tucker Carlson.
Kavanaugh. And I said, we have to fight for him, not worry about the other side. And by the way, women are for that more than anybody would understand.
That was the president just moments ago speaking at a rally in Missouri, addressing the chaos around the Brett Kavanaugh confirmation. And there is, in fact, a lot of it. The main debate is over timing of the next Kavanaugh hearing. Here are the basic facts about it. According to the schedule most of us assumed was real 2 weeks ago, the Senate should have already voted on the nomination by now, and Kavanaugh almost certainly would have been confirmed. He had the numbers. And then the wrinkle. Democrats leaked the name of Christine Ford to the press. Ford alleges that sometime back in high school, about 36 years ago, Kavanaugh jumped on her at a party and groped her over her clothes. She's provided very few details, including when and where it allegedly happened. Kavanaugh has denied the story entirely, and so has the other person Ford said was present, a man named Mark Judge. That's pretty much what we know. In order to know more, we're going to need to hear from Christine Ford. Both sides once agreed on that because it's obvious she should have a chance to speak. Everyone thought that was a good idea. It was a consensus view. Republicans in the Senate asked Ford to testify this week. She refused. They offered to send a staffer to her house in California to take her testimony privately, and she refused that too. Finally, they asked her to testify this coming Monday. She has said she won't, but she will not explain why she won't. Ford's lawyers are now saying she's willing to explain herself in the Senate next Thursday. Thursday is a significant date in this story. Because of Senate rules, which are complex, if Ford testifies next Thursday, the vote on Kavanaugh will be pushed back at least another week. In this environment, that very likely means forever. His nomination will be over. So will any Trump nomination to the court. There isn't time before the midterms for the White House to introduce and vet a new candidate. Democrats will have prevented the administration from filling this vacancy. We'll have just 8 justices for the foreseeable future, and probably until there's another Democratic president. Now, you may have voted for Trump in the hope he would put reasonable people on the Supreme Court, but tough. If this testimony is delayed until Thursday, that's likely not going to happen. So that's what's at stake over this timing question. What's amazing is that almost nobody on television is telling you that. They're still pretending this is all a matter of protecting Christine Ford's feelings. Welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight, a middle-aged man.
That was, to me, that was a very interesting insight. Is that this is the tactic that Democrats are using. They trotted out this political operative, Christine Blasey Ford, to delay. You know, obviously Democrats are betting that Senate is going to change parties, change hands, that it's going to be Democratic. So their idea is to delay the confirmation of Judge Kavanaugh until they control the Senate, and if they control the Senate. So it is very interesting. Now, I don't really see, quite frankly, any evidence that there is a blue wave. I don't believe any any of the polling that's done today that's showing that Democrats are somehow ahead or winning. I remember 2 years ago, this time it was a foregone conclusion by the Democrats that that evil grandma Hillary is going to win. And obviously she did not. There's a huge difference in the way the swamp creatures and power elites in our country perceive the world and the way we perceive the world, middle class people, middle class men. The power elites, strangely enough, counterintuitively, have a lot more in common with people living on welfare. Let me explain to you why I am saying that. They are used to a distributive economy. They're used to somebody providing them with the means, with the living, with the money. Just like welfare recipients. They're not used to working and earning the money. To them, earning the money and working hard is not part of their DNA. Part of their DNA is being born to a wealthy parents, having a trust fund kid, entered the Ivy League universities on a legacy basis, bypassing normal people like us, and then landing a job at large corporations or Washington, D.C. bureaucracy just because they are children of certain parents. When they go for a job interview, it's not a job interview like you and I are going to, when we have to prove ourselves that we can do a good job. When they go for a job interview, a phone call precedes it saying that so-and-so is going to appear and that you understand that those people need to be hired. So they don't know how to work hard. They don't know what the hardships are. They don't understand what it is to run a business, what it is to make a payroll. They don't understand what it means to pay bills. They don't understand when they're young. They're totally clueless what it takes to survive. So Washington, D.C. swamp and New York elite, the professorial elite in California and the rest of the country, they are overgrown children. They're dependent on somebody else's money. And the only thing they have to do is to be loyal to their group, to their class, to their political ideology, which happens to be globalism and a form of Marxism. Because they know very well, as soon as they go against their own DC creatures, they'll be thrown away, and the tit of a taxpayer money or some corporate support or something else, some redistributive type of economic support that they get will dry up. And they know that they're incapable of earning their own money. Now, the rest of us are much tougher than that. Most of us who are born into the middle class have been thrown out of our homes when we turned 18. We had to struggle to find a job, to work hard. We've been we've been broke when we were young. I don't want to say poor. Poor is a state of mind. Being broke is a state of your bank account. So we are used to being broke. We know what it feels like. We know what it feels like when you have to decide which bill we're going to pay when we're young, which bill to pay, and which bill we can postpone another few days. We understand the struggle of looking for a job, going from interview to interview. And then when we make it, most of the entrepreneurs that I know that came from a middle class know to the cent how much money they make every year, and know to the cent how much taxes do we have to pay. This is something that children of wealthy parents that are the Washington elite, the DC swamp, don't know. So they simply do not understand us. Now, on a very strangely, Donald Trump does understand that, even though he was born into money. And this is why he's so appealing to the middle class, to us. This is why we elected them. And right now, the Washington D.C. swamp is in chaos, which is good for him, because all entrepreneurs know that we have a chaotic environment. The chaos is actually freedom. The chaos is absence of rules, absence of laws, absence of arbitrary regulations. You can make a lot of money and you can make a life good for yourself in a muddy waters and chaotic environment where you are free. You are free to create, to make money. And I don't know whether that Rosenstein affair is Trump's 3D chess move to muddy the waters, but strangely enough, it is connected to the fact that DC swamp is openly squabbling for everybody to see, diminishes their power, which means it's diminishing their power to stop Judge Kavanaugh's confirmation. Let's do an exercise. Let's go on Google, and I am on Google, and let's Google Judge Matt. Confirmation. Let's see what comes up. Oops. Brett Kavanaugh, not Matt. Brett Kavanaugh confirmation. Let's see what we get. Brett Kavanaugh confirmation, where every senator stands on Trump. GOP plans to blow past new Kavanaugh confirmation obstacle, political. Let's see what they're saying on this one. Political. GOP plans to blow past new Kavanaugh confirmation obstacle. Senator Republicans are pressing ahead on confirming Brett Kavanaugh before the midterm elections, even after National Archives said, "Okay, this is an old article." Let's see what we have on the new one news. Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh moves towards the vote, Politico. There are virtually no news. How about we do Senator Grassley? Senator Grassley on Kavanaugh. Oops, I misspelled Kavanaugh. Grassley breaks news in tweet that reads like a direct message. And this is from 6 hours ago. Grassley breaks news in a tweet that reads like a direct message to Kavanaugh. The curious tweet Friday night in which Senator Chuck Grassley told the world that he was extending his deadline for Christine Blasey Ford to decide whether she would testify before Senate Judiciary Committee led Politico's journalists and Twitters to wonder, was 85-year-old Massive supposed to be public? This is because the Iowa Republican tweet read like a direct message to Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. Ford has accused Kavanaugh of sexually, it doesn't say anywhere whether the hearing Monday will happen. Let me look at all. Kavanaugh accused accepts request to speak to Judiciary Committee next week. Let's see what this is all about. Like I said, it's a total chaos. I looked at it earlier. I couldn't find anybody saying whether the hearing Monday will happen or not. Washington, CNN, Christine Blasey Ford, the woman who accused Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of past sexual assault, accepted the request to speak to the panel next week. about the alleged incident. Her lawyers told Senate Judiciary Committee staff on Saturday. Dr. Ford accepts the committee's request to provide her first-hand knowledge of Brett Kavanaugh sexual misconduct next week. Deborah Katz and Lisa Banks, attorneys representing Ford, wrote in a message to committee, but the message did not agree to a specified date and time. So again, as we watched Tucker Carlson, he said if it goes past Thursday, we can kiss this nomination goodbye. Grassley breaks news and tweet reads like direct message to Kavanaugh. We'll just look at it. Senator Kavanaugh accuser accepts request to speak. Grassley breaks news. Grassley grants Kavanaugh accuser another extension. That's 18 hours ago. Let's take a look what this is. Kavanaugh accuser granted another extension. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley late Friday night granted another extension to Christine Blasey Ford to decide whether she will testify to the committee. The new deadline was unclear, but Ford has requested that at 10 p.m. Eastern Time Friday deadline be extended until Saturday. Ford accuses Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. Okay, again, it doesn't say anywhere that the hearing Monday is canceled. What we're going to do is we will call Chuck Grassley's office. Oops. And here's his phone number. We're going to call him while we're on the live stream. And this is his grassley.senate.gov website. Let's see if we... Here we go. Picture, actually, it's kind of significant. There is a picture of him on his website shaking Brett Kavanaugh's hand. We're going to call his office, and I'm pretty sure there's nobody there. But if there is somebody there, we're going to ask for more information. If not, we will urge him in a message, and hopefully we can leave a message, to stop delaying the confirmation and make sure that this conservative judge is seated in the Supreme Court. So I am dialing, just let me move this here. I'm dialing 202-224-3744. It is Chuck Grassley's office.
Thank you for contacting the office of Senator Chuck Grassley. I am sorry we can't take your phone call right now. If you would like to leave a message for Senator Grassley, please do so after the tone. If the mailbox is full, please visit Senator Grassley's website at grassley.senate.gov and click on Contact. Your comments are important to him, and he looks forward to receiving them.
Good afternoon, Senator Grassley. My name is Andre Lefevre, independent citizen journalist, wildnews.us, and a patriot. I am live streaming this phone call on Periscope, and I'd like to urge you to stop this dance, this idiotic fawning over a political operative, Dr. Ford, who is obviously a liar and obviously is just a political operative. Sir, please quit pussyfooting with this political operative and a liar, and please make sure that Judge Kavanaugh is confirmed. Please, sir, we had enough of those political games that Democrats play. Please make sure that we have a conservative judge in the Supreme Court. And please stop extending all those courtesies to that political operative and a liar, Dr. Ford. We don't even know that that's her real name. Sir, thank you very much and have a blessed weekend. Bye-bye. Well, we just left a message for Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa, chairman of the Judiciary Committee. And here's a number, 202-224-3744. and I suggest that if you're a patriot, call them, leave your name in there. You know, every little bit helps. Just one message is not going to do much, but if there's an avalanche of messages, oh yeah, it will help. Those politicians do pay attention if there is a huge volume of calls. Before we go, I found an extremely interesting article on 100%fedup.com. Let me see here. There's a lot of advertising here. Ball game. Ted Cruz, Democrat opponent, caught on video telling black men illegal aliens are America's new cotton pickers. Ted Cruz, arguably the most conservative member of the U.S. Senate, he is also in the political fight of his life, as he faces a Democrat who has officially been endorsed by Nazi errand boy George Soros, MoveOn.org. Soros isn't the only one who is all for the leftist Democrat. Hollywood is also jumping on the bandwagon for Beto O'Rourke, the rising star of the Democrat Party. Country, I'm not going to read all of it. I'm just going to play you a video of O'Rourke, the Democratic nominee, telling a black American voter that basically you'll see what he says. It is despicable. It has to do with illegal. It has to do with illegal immigration.
Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein suggested to Justice Department and FBI officials that he...
That's the wrong one. Here we go. Give me just a second. Let me refresh the screen.
Hello. As you know, Black Americans required the 14th Amendment of the Constitution to become citizens after hundreds of years of being here, building and defending the nation. My question is, do you support granting citizenship and American paid benefits to illegal aliens who violate our country to come here, who fly their flags, their foreign flags here, who have citizenship in their countries and whose families absolutely did not build this country, while black people are suffering the things that you explained before? You can answer yes or no, please.
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question. Many people built this country, first of all. And we are a country of many people. And John Lewis, my colleague, who put it far more eloquently and powerfully than I could, and I'm paraphrasing Congressman Lewis at this point, but he said something to the effect that each of us came to this country in a different ship. Some of us came here against our will. Some of us immigrated here lawfully. Some of us, the O'Rourke's 5 generations ago, were fleeing famine in Ireland, and there was no other country that would take us in but this country, and this is where we came. Some of us are showing up right now as we speak. They're fleeing the deadliest countries in the planet today, the Northern Triangle countries of Central America, Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. Imagine how bad things have to be for you to scoop up that 6-month-old daughter of yours and to walk 2,000 miles, some of it on top of a plane, never inside, to try to come to asylum, to safety, and to refuge in a country that is comprised of people from the world over. And yes, there are some people who did not follow our laws when they came here, to be with their families, or to work jobs that in some cases no one was willing to work in their communities. I mentioned going to high school in Roscoe. I also went to the cotton gin in Roscoe. And at that cotton gin, there are 24 jobs, and the manager in that gin says, it does not matter the wages that I pay, or the number of hours that we set in the work week. I can find no one born in Roscoe or Sweetwater or Texas or this country who's willing to work it. But there are immigrants who are coming from Central America or Mexico or other parts of the world to Roscoe to work these jobs and to help build our economy.
So what this man just said is that told a big lie, that in the cotton gin he can't find Americans to work for any wage. You know what? This is a blatant lie. It shows that democratic Nazis, the fascists, are carrying water for large corporations who want cheap labor. It is a lie that if you pay enough to us Americans, you always find workers to work. So rather than pay us the real wages, the wages that we can support our own country, our own family rather, so we can support our country, they have to bring illegals. I can't even call them immigrants because they're not illegals, illegal criminals, to take our job away. And that's the position of the Democrat challenger to Ted Cruz in Texas. Before I go, I am on my website, worldnews.us. If you have any information, any suggestions that for the stories, or you have any information on the stories that I have live streamed, go to my website, worldnews.us, click on the contact. My phone number is there, and my email address is there. And you're welcome to contact me. I will answer my phone call if I'm not busy. Again, contact info, and you either call me or email me, wildnews@protonmail.com. Thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it a lot more than I can ever express in words. And my friends, God bless you. God bless you. See you Monday.